Good morning, everybody. We have a mostly higher trade in the grain markets here early on Friday morning. It is 6:30 a.m. Central Time. March corn futures up 1 at 433 and a half. January soybeans up 10 cents at 1211 and a quarter. March Chicago wheat rather up 2 1/4 at 611. March Kansas City wheat up a half cent at 570 and a half. March spring wheat up 1 at 568. So the soybean market trading its best level for any spot month contract since August of 2014 this morning. Spot month futures eclipsed that June 2016 high, which was at 1208. So we are into some rare territory here relative to the last several years. Strong demand continues to drive prices. I mean, you look at your two big sources of demand for U.S. beans, crush and exports. We continue to process like record amounts of beans every single month for the most part. November was another monthly record for crush. October was an all-time record for any month in regard to soybean crush. So we have not curbed demand via domestic processors because crush margins are still good, and they've declined a little bit here, but they're still strong. So we've done very little to curb demand there. In regard to exports, we had another strong week of sales last week, 922,000 metric tons. That was up 62% on the week. Now sales have backed off a little bit, and that's to be expected this time of year in soybeans when your global buyers start to look at Brazil. But these are still good sales, and we still have the best book of soybean export sales on record by a wide margin. The previous record was 2016, and accumulated export sales of soybeans for the marketing year are above 2016 by 12%. So it's really phenomenal here what's happened in regard to demand. And maybe the market's just as simple as this. Maybe you just have to find a level that finally curbs some demand. And as of this week, we doesn't look like we've really found that level yet. In regard to corn, export sales there were very good yesterday as well, just over 1.9 million. Wheat sales were pretty good at 540,000. So yesterday's export sales report, I would say, is certainly constructive. Accumulated corn export sales for the marketing year, I believe, are the best on record, certainly the best in the last 20 years. I know there was some really good stuff back in the mid 90s. I'm not sure if we're above that level or not, but in any case, very, very strong export program in corn as well. Soybean planting in Argentina is 68% complete. The grain exchange there said that planting had been slowed a little bit due to dryness, but they're only lagging last year by 2 or 3%. So not a major issue, but certainly something to be monitored. Argentina's corn crop 55% planted. A lot of Argentina will be dry here during the next week, and that's been the trend. More normalish type rainfall is expected beginning next week. Brazilian weather, same kind of deal. We should see some improvement here, actually some drastic improvement. Rains are slated to return during like the early to middle part of next week, and they're going to see a stretch that's 7 to 10 days where they will see more normalish rainfall in these key soybean growing areas of Brazil, which has been something that's been totally absent since planting began. Rainfall has been running below normal very consistently. We're going to see a little bit more normal type rainfall here in that period from, say, like next Tuesday or Wednesday through the end of the year. Soil moisture still well below normal throughout almost all of the country, but I think that these rains should certainly be helpful. So I'm not reading the South American weather stuff as being super friendly here this morning. I think the big thing in the beans is just that demand has not really been reduced at all despite these higher prices. Drought continues to build in the U.S. From west to east. We saw the new drought monitor map out yesterday. There's a drought in place out very clearly over the western part of the country, the southwestern portion, and it's making its way into the southern plains, into the northern plains, even parts of the western corn belt, and there's really not very much relief in sight at all. I mean, you look at the total expected rainfall from now through the first few days of January for the Dakotas straight south through Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas. I mean, like half an inch of rain in total expected between now and say those first few days of January. So that continues to be an issue. Congress has until midnight tonight to pass a stopgap spending bill. Of course, waiting till the last minute. As always, for months and months and months, they've done nothing but like what I would call a partisan blame game type deal in regard to this additional coronavirus stimulus. Additional stimulus is likely to be passed along with this bill. Markets and most of the stuff I've read this morning seem to be pretty optimistic in regard to this deal and that they'll get something done here today. In general, the stimulus, in my opinion, the failure to pass additional stimulus has been a massive failure on the part of our government. The corn market's acting well, and part of this is corn maybe following soybeans to some extent, but you've got the corn at least kind of creeping back toward the upper end of the range in these March futures. Nearby March futures peaked at, I think, 439.5 back a few weeks ago, and we could very easily go up and trade that here at some point. December 2021 corn futures are basically sitting right near their recent highs, 414.5 as I speak here this morning. They traded as high as 415.5 overnight. Ethanol remains a concern moving forward. We continue to lose corn demand via ethanol every week. It's not going to stop anytime soon. But strong exports and a smaller U.S. crop this past year have offset a large deal of this ethanol demand loss on the balance sheets. The wheat market is acting okay here the last couple days. We'll wait to see if this Russia tax drives more business to the U.S. We certainly hope that it would. I think it will result in some increase in business, and I think the rally in the row crops is just very supportive. Cattle futures were higher yesterday. Cash cattle was kind of variable. I think they had some better stuff in the south, like 108, but then in the north, like 104 to 105. So we'll see what develops here today. The box beef market was up yesterday, a little bit of a rebound there. Stock market is up just a little bit ahead of the cash open. The Dow's up 10 points, S&P's up about 5, bonds up a few points. U.S. dollar's about flat, but still very weak in the U.S. dollar. Crude oil's up 4 cents. Gold's up about $1. If you'd like some more information from me, as always, you can visit my website. Go to standardgrain.com. You can click on Grain Marketing Plan here in the upper right-hand corner. If you would like to know exactly how I'm marketing corn, soybeans, and wheat every day of the week through an email, which goes out every morning at 6:30, and a text message service, I'll let you know exactly how I'm doing it. Sign up, cancel at any time, no other fee, no other obligation. Everyone have a great weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday.